morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Are we going to have a Santa Claus rally? The market having a great day yesterday, up a bit here again today ahead of the Fed. Maybe we do. DuPont announces a $1 billion stock buyback. Stock's trading up over a point here this morning. Lilly disappoints investors somewhat on their Alzheimer's drug. They don't plan to submit a biologics license application at this time for their solanezumab Alzheimer's drug, so the stock is going down on that. And we're going to look at some key technical levels in some of your S&P components. Also reporting earnings, Joy Global and Costco. Joel, what's your overall take here on this market? Are we going to have a Santa Claus rally, or are we going to stall out?
We started yesterday when we opened up near that resistance 1424. Took it out pretty easily, even surpassed that 1431.75 high from back in November. Made a high at 34 and a quarter. We've got over that in the pre-market, 1435.50 high. To be honest with you, I don't see a whole lot of resistance in this market now that we've got above the 1431.75. Sure looks like we can migrate back up to the 1460 level. Interestingly, when we pulled back yesterday, I believe it was on the Harry Reid comments, we pulled back right to that old high, 1424, and got a nice bounce. So that'll be your major support on the downside. And on the upside, like I said, I don't see any resistance up here to 1460. Might take a couple days, but that's your next major resistance point.
Stocks that are moving is AIG. It's moving here again today, up another 20 cents. But what a day for AIG yesterday. Obviously, the government announcing that they were going to basically get out of the rest of their shares, going to do an offering down in the 32.50 area. The market loved it. The stock rallied almost 2 points on that news, closing at near the highs at 35.26. There was some crazy imbalances on this right at the close. They flipped them around a couple times, and the stock really chopped up in the last 10 or 5 minutes of trade. It was trading down to 35.05, then up to 35.40, and all over the place as they were playing with the imbalances. But stock closed 35.26, closed strong, and is trading up here again this morning.
Yeah, monster volume in that yesterday, too. Take note of the 25 million shares it traded. Yesterday's high, 35.42, has been exceeded in the pre-market. Made a high at 35.65 and 35.60, a few pops there. So you're finding a seller there. But if you go to the dailies, you really have to go back a little bit farther to find a high back on November 1st at 35.56. So that's what you were bumping up against, and then you're going to tell folks that you like the $36 number.
I don't know if I'm going to say that. There's not that much at that $36 level because we don't have a reference point there, so I'm not going to say that, Joel. I like the whole numbers when they have other reference points there, but I think that there's not really a heck of a lot above that whole 35.56 area that you're talking about. I mean, obviously we had the big gap down day on October 19th when the stock was up at 37.10 and ended up going down as low as 35.48. So that day there, if you look at that, we start to get up above this 35.75 area. We start to go into a vacuum area again. I mean, the chart looks good. It's still holding that trend. The trend is up.
Yeah, 35.88 was the high on October 22nd. So I do put a little credence in that 36.
It's got to be a little bit of a pullback here eventually too, because there's a lot of people that are sitting on some gains. And like you were saying yesterday, if they do end up getting some stock at 32.50, they immediately become sellers. So I guess it depends on how oversubscribed that 32.50 is going to be. DuPont announced they're going to do a $1 billion stock buyback here. Joel, the stock is taking off this morning. $45 it's printing at now, and bid there on 13,000 shares.
They're buying the stock back right now?
Apparently, the stock's flying right now, so I don't know if they're doing it right now or not, but they are announcing that they intend to do a $1 billion stock buyback.
Well, DuPont is taking quite a haircut here after trading over 52 back in September. But you got to look at all those highs right there, Dennis. I know you're looking at them going back at the beginning of November,
Yeah,
end of October. Look at all those highs there: 45, 31, 35, 38,
it's crazy.
44, 49, 44.
Wow.
Boy, whoever was selling there an inkling of something was going on. So I think I'd stay out of the way until it got up to that area. Only 13,000 shares have traded. I know it's bid, but not a monster amount of volume. And a lot of time these things get an initial pop, and then people kind of come back to reality and realize they're not buying stock back right now. So, but keep an eye not only today but over the next 4 days at 45 and a
I
half.
absolutely love that level there, Joel, that 45-35 level that you are talking about. If it can get up there, I mean, it looks like major resistance because those 4 or 5 days in a row. So it looks like somebody was trying to liquidate a piece there, and maybe when it gets back up there, they're going to be trying again. So up here, $1.50, it's trading up. I tend to agree with you here that if this stock goes up another 20-30 cents, we're going to find some sellers. Eli Lilly, some bad news for Lilly shareholders. I'm one of them. It's from my investment portfolio. I've had it for a long time, still have it. 50, 60 is where it closes. Trading down $2 right now, 48.65. Their Alzheimer's drug, they are not planning on submitting a biologics license application to the FDA at this time. So that's not saying that they're done with the drug. They're still studying the drug. They're just obviously not ready to submit that application yet. So, and obviously people wanted better news with that, so they're hitting it. But they're not saying the drug is dead. They're just saying that they're not ready to apply to the FDA.
Didn't you get out on some of that position though when
Yeah, I
it
sold
spiked
half of
up?
it. Yeah,
Where was that? That was above 50, huh?
52 and a half. I got out of half of them. I
Wow.
bought this at 35 bucks. So I do some investing too. I bought this at $35 about a year ago. And the stock got up to 52 and a half, and I'm like, look, it was popping on that Alzheimer's drug news. It had run from back here. You can see it had run from $48 to 53 in a matter of days. It pulled
Yeah,
back,
that
and
was
I've decided I better dump half of this because it's just too much. I wish I would have bought them back. I could have got them all back in the 45 area, but I didn't. So, but I still have half my position overall. I intend to hold it. I still like the company from a longer term perspective. Pays me a nice dividend, and it's got that basically call or a lottery ticket if that Alzheimer's drug ever gets to market. That could be worth $7 to $10 a share. I don't know if it's going to or not, but it could be a blockbuster if it ever does.
Yeah, it did have very good support in this at around the $49 level, 48.80, 48.85 or a couple lows. We have cut through that in the pre-market. You got a low at 48 even, so I'll use that as support. Imagine if you get back up to 49 there, you'll find some resistance or even try and sneak into yesterday's range. That's going to be tough to do with the 50-14 low. 400,000 shares have traded, so that stock
Big
trades quite a
volume,
bit of
man.
volume. Yeah, so I don't know. They're beating it up pretty good. I think if it comes back down to that 48, I think you might get a bounce.
Joy Global announced earnings. They beat actually. They did lower guidance, which had the stock trading down briefly. It's now ticking up, just ticked up to 58.24 after closing 57.87. Here's a nice looking chart, looking like it was breaking out over all those highs that we had through November. Yesterday, kind of breaking out, got as high as 58.66. Obviously, just had earnings, so that's going to be your major driver here. But you start getting above that 58.66. I don't see a heck of a lot till 60.
Yeah, they got a print in the pre-market at 59 and a quarter. Just keep an eye on yesterday's high, 58.66. That's a good reference point. Going back to middle of November, you had a high at 58.69 and 58.83. So you get above, hold that 58.60, 58.70 level. You're right. You do have a high at $60 back in at the beginning of November.
Moving on here, I want to talk about Costco too because they reported earnings here this morning. The stock is trading up 10.
Whew.
It's up at 99.46 right now. after closing at 98.31. They reported 95 cents against estimates of 93, so Costco beat.
Yep, and looks like Costco here is making a new all-time high in the pre-market. Got up to 99.70. So we'll keep an eye on that. Currently trading at 99.46. Breaking out to new highs. You can't ignore that. I think if we came back and slid back under 99, there's not a whole lot here to look at, but I like Costco. I shop at Costco. I like what's what I think about Costco is that I go and like I buy all this stuff, and I get to I'm one of those people that pushes those big carts around, and I got all this stuff stacked on it, and I go check out, and it's like $204.
You can
I
get a
go to the
lot of
grocery,
stuff there.
yeah, I go to the grocery store and buy some stuff for the week for my family, and then I spend $120. So it's a good place,
You,
and
you can get a lot of
good
stuff for a
value.
cheap price. Now remember, it just had that big special dividend. What was it, 7 or 8? I think it was $7. So obviously
Jeez.
that's what the adjustment is in the fall in the chart. So it looks like it gapped down, but it really didn't. It paid that big special dividend. So when you adjust for that, this thing is really still kicking around up at the highs. So Costco shareholders have been doing very well as of late. Let's talk about Apple here, Joel, because obviously that's been the driver. It got up that 550 area yesterday that we talked about, is pulling back, and then it pulled back to close around 541. Now it's up at 549. It seems to be bouncing around in these 540s, moving through that like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, and actually it did dip below the previous day's high, which was a rare opportunity when the SPOOs gap up like that. You had the 538.51 high on Monday, and you snuck under that. 537.37 was the low. Got back up to the 550 level. I'm looking at that again as only as minor resistance, making new highs in the pre-market, 549 a quarter. Things look pretty wide open above the 549.56 Tuesday's high, all the way up to Friday's high at 552, or excuse me, 555.20. Coming back on the downside, sure doesn't look like you're going to get to buy this thing at the settlement at the close.
You wanted to talk about Wells Fargo. It did finally start to get above that area yesterday. Right in the morning, it got there and then peeled back. Again, just bring up the daily chart here. It got right up to there and then it peeled back, but now it's back and it's closed and right near that 33.29 and is trading up here in the pre-market again, right around this whole 33.40 area of resistance.
Yeah, not a lot of volume with that, so I have to take that with a grain of salt. Here's another stock yesterday that if you were patient, it came down to the settlement. Also came into the two of the prior day lows, 33 even and 33.03. Things look open on this up to at least the 33.76 level, and then you got a gap to fill up to 34. So maybe today's the day that finally Wells Fargo is going to go.
Microsoft continues to march up a bit here for you there, Joel. This trade that you got, 27.45 is where it's trading at this morning. It looks pretty good. I'm obviously long it too, hoping it's going to get up that 27.77 area.
Yeah, probably some stock to chew through, like 27.50. Nice round number like that. Stopped it yesterday. Looking at the charts, 27.77 was the high on November 23rd, and then you got that gap to fill back up to 28.21. I think there might be a little anticipation of a special dividend since they got like $66 billion over. They better just do something with it. So yeah, I kind of looked at that one on the chart. I guess a blind squirrel can find an acorn every once in a while.
Dougie Cass was saying about the special dividend with Microsoft too. The only
Yep.
thing, we're kind of running out of time for all these companies to do their special dividends. I mean, they got to announce them and get them out there. So we're basically got a week or two left here for them to do that. So if you haven't announced it the next week, I don't know if you're going to announce it. So I don't know if I'd bank on Microsoft doing the special dividend, but it looks great on the chart, and obviously I still said I like that Surface product. So let's talk about Facebook here, because this stock has consolidated here nicely in the
Look at this.
$27 area for the last week. Now it's starting to break out over 28. This thing looks like it's ready to go to me. I know it's trading down 6 cents on a day. We're up here today, but it does look like it wants to make a run for that 28.88 high that we had back on the 3rd. Think it can do it today, or is it going to wait a couple days? Or if it's going
Well, I'll
down?
tell you, you've had a couple days of fairly tight ranges for that. A lot of support at the $27 level. We're quite a ways from that. I would just look at this 28.17 and 28.24. Probably someone wants out of a piece here at 28 and a quarter. But if you can get above there, then you got the high of the move at 28.88, and I'm still looking for $30 on this run in Facebook. I just think I think that would just mess with the maximum amount of people. You
So what
know?
you're looking to always mess up. And that's what the market tries to do. It tries to mess up the maximum amount of people. I don't know. I think the stock is looking good on the charts, but sometimes when they look this good, everybody else is looking at the same chart. It gets crowded and goes the other way. But
Tight ranges, though.
oh yeah,
I mean, it's had. They're not exactly inside days here, but things gonna break out eventually here. If it got back under 27, I think
nervous.
I think the little ride will be over. But if not, we're looking at the 28.88 high.
Overall market thoughts here. We're up 1433.50. We're actually fair value, believe it or not, is down 4 points. So when we're only up, when it says we're up 2, we're really up 6 here. So the market is continuing to run up. We had some crazy activity between 4 and 4:15. That's why you're seeing that fair value down, which would have been down 4. So market's actually technically up 6 points here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, if you pull up the daily chart here, this 1431.75 high was some major resistance. We took it out yesterday. We're trading above it now. Looking at the resistance, 1459.75. That was a high back on October 18th. So that's the next major resistance point. And then also yesterday, I don't know, did you notice between 1 and 2 o'clock that the SPOOs traded in a 1.7, less than a 2 point range for over an hour?
Yeah, you can get these tight ranges in the middle of the day. Yeah, it was tight. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what was happening back, if you remember, in the summer doldrums we had. We'd have a 1-2 point range there sometimes the entire day. And I'm looking at it just struggling, trying to figure out how the hell you can make money when the stocks don't move. I mean, we can make money if they go down, we can make money if they go up, but when they don't move, unless you're rating calls or rating options, I guess, it's very difficult to make money when the stocks don't move.
okay, folks, that's our show for today, and we'll be back with you